director.
Who is the MD for GOTV?
It's a shared responsibility.
In English, there's nothing like shared. There's a noun.
Sorry?
There's a noun.
Nzola actually combines both. The gentleman you spoke to earlier covers both MultiChoice Kenya and GOTV Kenya.
So Nzola is also the MD for GOTV?
Yes.
Okay. Yes, Mheshimiwa.
Chair, with your permission, then that leads us to some very necessary preliminaries that we need to clear. And earlier, we learned that MultiChoice Kenya is a subscription management company.
Correct.
So maybe just curious out of definition, and I'll use Ruth as an example. Who is your employer?
Through the chair, my contract is with MultiChoice Kenya Limited.
Brilliant. Okay, good. Vincent, who is your employer?
My employer is MGH. MGH stands for MultiChoice Group Holdings, North Support Services. So basically that is the representative office for MAH.
Very good. And you have said that Mr. Nzola is also the MD for GOTV, so his employer is also MultiChoice Kenya. Okay, good. So I think the first thing then we need to clear is the legal framework. Maybe the word legal is not even probably the best word, but the operational framework under which MultiChoice Kenya manages GOTV Kenya.
And before you reframe it, Mheshimiwa, allow us to put Mr. Isaboke and the colleague to under oath, so that whatever they speak.
My apologies for that.
Let
for
us
that oversight.
Through the chair, I'm ready to take the oath. Oh, okay. So I'm actually holding the Bible. I, Stephen Isaboke, do swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee on matters under its consideration shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God. Thank you, Chair.
I, Vincent Opio, do swear that the evidence I shall give before this committee on matters under its consideration shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. So help me God.
Mr. Isaboke, maybe we will be giving you a brief, a few minutes. As you can realize, we've really taken much of, now that you are one company, one organization, we have much of what your sister corporation has said.
Yes.
Can you then take the shortest time? How many minutes do you want me to give you to make your presentation?
So, Chair, I think if you give me what, 30 minutes? That's okay. Yeah, it's just clean. 30 minutes will be sufficient just for highlights.
That will be too long.
Okay. Shall we take 15, Chair? Or 10?
Yeah, 15, 10 will be good enough,
okay,
because most of the issues will come in the questions.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chair, I take your guidance.
Yes.
I shall take the shortest time possible.
Please proceed.
But just like I said, the gentleman, they run the business. So Vincent will actually talk us through, and I will be answering the questions, because it's just talking about the business.
No. The invitation is not for Vincent.
Okay.
The invitation is for you. Take us through. He'll support you when you open the floor.
Okay.
Where you cannot understand the issues, we will be able to ask him to take you through.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Chair, through you and the honorable members, I would like to take this opportunity to just take through highlights of the GOTV Kenya business.
And then try as much as possible to be verbatim to the hard copy.
Yes.
Yes.
So I am on the background page. So basically that speaks to the setup of this business. It was a pioneer digital terrestrial television business that was established to actually cover that segment. The business was actually set up by Malchus Africa Group, which is actually a publicly quoted company in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. I go to the next page. GOTV Kenya, as known, was actually set up in 2012, back here. And at that time, the honorable members, chair will remember that the country was actually building into digital migration. At that stage of setup, which was actually by MultiChoice, they then offered KBC a shareholding because, as you'll see deep down, KBC is actually the preferred partner with MultiChoice in this market. And the parties have been engaged in negotiations from 2012 all the way to 2021. And you'll see various correspondences and communications. And in terms of shareholding, finally KBC declined the shares for various reasons, and we'll actually clarify some of those reasons. There were regulatory and also financial reasons that they gave that we'll actually highlight. So next page, Chair, you'll see a couple of correspondences, and we put them in a full format down in the attachments that talk to some of the regulatory sort of issues that KBC had to deal with. The number one is cross ownership. So once the framework for digital migration was set up, one of the rules was that an operator or a shareholder could not hold shares in more than one broadcast signal distributor. And at that stage, KBC had shares at Signet, which they still have. So the regulator wrote to us, the late engineer Francis Wangusi, to say that be aware that even as you look for a partner, there is a caveat that a partner cannot hold two shares, two shareholdings in a broadcast signal distributor. So those are some of the things that we're dealing with in the course of negotiation. And I think the rest of the correspondence are self-explanatory. I think the next one is kind of jumping gun, but it does highlight after long, nearly 5-6 years of to and fro between the partners. And in this case, it's basically between MultiChoice Africa and KBC. They finally actually declined the shareholding, and for various reasons. I also want to say that the discussions and negotiations were never necessarily between just KBC and MultiChoice. The parent ministry was involved. We could consult the minister, the then Minister for ICT, or even the PS, who KBC always had to defer for consent or concurrence. And the ministry had raised various reasons and the sort of queries around the partnership that eventually they could actually not concur or approve that partnership. So despite the best endeavors and all that, KBC then had to decline. So you'll see, Chair, down the line in terms of the evolution of this thing, because we're dealing with these things on exception.
Just present, you'll get time to
yes,
speak
to explain. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So I also speak to compliance notices. So we are a regulated service, and regulators do give you notices. It's like a referee. They can give you a yellow or a red. In this case, there were yellow cards. They were giving us notices around compliance for local shareholding. So throughout the period between 2012 and about 2018, when we now had to take action, we were always indulging the regulator to give us waivers, meaning allow us to keep discussing with our potential partners to take up the shares. And they will then grant the waivers. Majority of the waivers were 1 year, extended, of course, after negotiations and explanations. So in the course of those waivers, the regulator was still giving us notices around violation of our local license terms. So as you are aware, Chair, one of the local license terms for ICT companies is that there was need for a minimum 20% shareholding by a local partner. So at the setup, MultiChoice Africa owned 100%. And in the process, they offered KBC 40%, and in the process they were negotiating, but that had not been actualized. So the regulator was always giving compliance notices. I'm referring to compliance notices too. So further down, we just picked samples of letters from the minister, again, granting waivers, because the waiver can only come from the minister. The regulator merely uses that to give you a pass for your non-compliance. So again, you'll see samples of letters that were then given by the then minister, one talking about 1 year, the other giving us 6 months. Over those periods, again, we're negotiating and sort of trying to convince KBC to take shares. So one of the things that I think we needed to utter, Chair, was the CR12 for GOTV Kenya. So that is on the next page there. And you'll see we've highlighted, Chair, for the period 2012 to 2019, there were ongoing negotiations between MultiChoice Africa, the shareholder, and KBC. You'll see that's nearly 6 or so years, and a lot of correspondences and a lot of exchange of documents. That only changed from 2019 when, as you'll see further down, we're given final notices of non-compliance and no extension of waivers. So I'll speak briefly, Chair, about co-location, and I'm going to speak to my limited memory on this because I'm no longer in the business. So it is very, very normal for operators to co-locate each other. You actually co-host each other. At the setup of GOTV, there was an agreement that the GOTV, MultiChoice Africa, made with KBC through the GOTV to co-locate their sites wherever KBC is, and in turn also, as you'll see, wherever GOTV is, because in fact, the sites went far beyond the KBC sites. So co-location is a very typical thing in broadcasting worldwide. You don't want to replicate infrastructure. You locate one infrastructure, then you share. So we give the long history of the GOTV service. Initially, we actually were authorized as a service provider, and then as in 2017, GOTV was actually granted a self-provisioning license. That's a very key point, Chair, because that then marked a departure in terms of who could operate frequencies and who couldn't. Before then, you could only say work through a broadcast service PST, we call it broadcast service distributor. And the Chair and the board will remember on this one that there were actually 3 Supreme Court rulings around broadcast signal distributor, because the free-to-airs were actually fighting to get the signal distribution liberalized from Signet to more signal distributors. And in 2015, so the Supreme Court ruled. In 2017, then the regulation changed to allow other operators to actually run their own network. And that's when GOTV applied for self-provisioning, as we call it, self-carriage, and essentially allowed that they could actually get their own frequencies. There are other operators like GOTV, I'll say ADN, African Digital Network. You've got Pamba TV that also got Anpang. All those then, after they were licensed with the PSD, and in our case, self-provisioning, then the regulator has by right, when they've actually licensed you, to give you your own frequencies. And that departure was 2017. That's a point I can make on that one. So next, Chair, and I'm nearly coming to the end, is basically just a statistic. And Chair, I notice as you're actually a commercial person like myself, numbers don't lie. So what we've done on that table, we've actually tabled the existing sites, broadcasting sites. I'm talking about co-location agreement and sites. There's a page that has sort of a table on the right. And you'll see that KBC hosts GOTV in 10 sites, and the sites are named there. Like you see, is my home county all the way to Langata here in Nairobi, 10 sites. And concomitantly, GOTV then hosts KBC 19 sites. This is fact, Chair. Right from Sayari in Eldoret, all the way to Kanyomfo in Homa Bay. All those are existing sites. If the committee would like to visit and check, verify, this is fact. This is actually the point I made earlier around co-hosting. Very typical that broadcasters host each other. So this co-location, Chair, is not a one-sided thing. It's actually GOTV is co-located with KBC on KBC sites. KBC is co-located with GOTV on GOTV sites, as the table will actually say. I will really not go to the appendix. I would like to use the appendix, Chair, to actually explain or clarify any of the points that the committee would like to have. And I'll say GOTV obviously is broadcast locally with the transmission sites, and also mainly focusing on local content. And that's really, and basically focused on affordability and being almost a bottom-up type product, where, you know, mama mbogas and all that can actually easily access and afford. Thank you, Chair.
Translate to quality.
Yes, Honorable. In this case, it is a very decent Toyota type, because we also wanted them to afford like entertainment, and we didn't want them to hear that the rich people only watch, you know, the very expensive service, that they can actually access it and watch it. They do. Thank you.
Where do you get your signals from?
So, GOTV broadcast from transmission sites, Chair, through you, and these transmission sites are the ones that I've just highlighted on the previous page. So it is actually a terrestrial service. So what will happen is that a signal comes from the sky, from satellite, hits the transmitter, from the transmitter to the TV at home using the antenna. You see the normal grid that I use for terrestrial TV, and then from the antenna obviously to the TV.
And the content, you buy it from where?
So the
not necessarily mentioned in the party, but do
yes,
you create it or you import it?
So it's both local and international. So we have local content creators, Honorable. We also have international content that you'll actually get from syndicated producers globally.
Thank you. I just want to narrow down to the issues we raised in the letter. Yeah. We are very keen on looking at the issue of frequencies. Yeah. And in your submission here, you seem to have implied, like at one time, you are a beautiful girl that myself was admiring, the name of KBC. What happened of your intended relationship with KBC?
Thank you, Chair. So that beautiful girl, that was always the preferred girl, earmarked girl, despite every effort to actually cachola, convince her, and many of you will have been married, actually declined to agree into this partnership. So, Chair, I'll take you through a couple of correspondences where we represented the business proposal to KBC, and we supported KBC with all the details that we could support in terms of financial viability, in terms of why the platform is actually a good platform. They also went through these motions with their board, as they explained us. They also consulted the ministry, but every time the board sort of thought they were going to decide, they come back either with more queries or, in fact, more clarifications. You'll see further down, for example, there's a time they used PKF to actually do due diligence for them. We gave everything we could give in terms of books of accounts, in terms of the structure of the company. You know, DD is like undressing. It's even deeper than doing a medical. You do everything. And we did that. PKF gave their report, which I think was shared to KBC and their board, and we understand also through the ministry. But despite every effort, KBC actually declined to take the shares.
Maybe if I can go back.
Yeah.
Are you the first director of GOTV?
So I was a co-director. There was other colleagues. So in fact, maybe just my own history, I ran the multi-choice Kenya business, then went to the region as regional director. So by the time GOTV is launching, I really was not running the Kenya business. So there was someone running GOTV Kenya. In fact, some of the correspondences will come from that person. You'll see one or two correspondences where he writes either the regulator or
which
to KBC.
one is that? Now that he's here.
There is Felix Chenko somewhere. There's Chenko. Just check it. Yeah, there's somewhere where Felix Chenko refers.
Which appendix you have?
We'll tell you just now. Go to KBC. So it's somewhere, was it? Just check Felix Chenko letter, or is it not here? So there are a bundle of correspondence, Chair, just we need. What is it? Sorry? He is, in fact, the one who signed the co-location agreement. So if you look at the second last document that is attached, the second last document in the bundle, you'll see he is the one who signed there as general manager. Then co-signed with the other counterpart was actually Waithaka Wahenya, who was then MD at KBC.
So initially you are 2 directors.
At GOTV.
Yes.
I think we were 2 local directors. There were also other Maltese Africa representatives. We've never really always been 2. You always have the shareholder substantially also represented.
So let's have it in affirmative. How many directors were there?
At what stage, Chair?
When did you join GOTV?
So GOTV was established about 2012 as a company,
Yes.
limited company in Kenya. And then obviously has evolved. In 2012, there was a setup, but I need to look at the CR12. But they will have incorporated with the local reps on that board. I'm not really sure.
So in other words,
yes.
Yes. You are not the founder of GOTV.
No, I'm not the founder.
You are not the founder.
No.
Okay.
GOTV.
So
Are you talking about me as an individual, or are you talking about Maltese Africa?
no, you as an individual.
No, so I was a senior executive, but I was not a founder.
That's what I wanted to
Yes,
hear.
I'm
You
not a
are-
founder.
Did you know of GOTV when you were still at the regional level?
Yes, I
Or
knew.
Maltese?
I knew, and I worked for it, but I was not a founder. I was on top of the GOTV structure.
So you worked for Maltese Africa?
The same entity that Vincent works for, the regional
Yes.
entity.
Yes.
Yes.
But Vincent works for GOTV and doesn't work for Maltese Kenya.
So let me clarify, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
So between 2012 to 2019, when these discussions were ongoing, MultiChoice Africa Holdings owned GOTV 100%.
Yeah.
And to discharge its day-to-day mandate, it had a general manager who sat side by side with the MultiChoice Kenya secretariat. And then through the shared service management agreement, MultiChoice Kenya was then able to offer day-to-day services, sales, marketing to GOTV. So GOTV was generally a very lean organization, mostly made up of engineers who would make sure that the sites are running, but finance would be provided by Ruth, sales would be provided by a MultiChoice Kenya, and then there would be a recharge mechanism. So GOTV would pay MultiChoice Kenya for the services that it offered to the entity.
GOTV would be Maltese Kenya or Maltese Africa?
No, MultiChoice Kenya, because you remember, you need feet on the ground in Kenya to do finance, to do marketing, to do sales, all these other support services. So that would be done by MultiChoice Kenya for GOTV.
But they were in competition. Maltese Kenya is a competitor of Maltese, GOTV is a competitor of Maltese Kenya.
No, Mr. Chairman, the client profile for both entities, because so DSTV, which is what I call our premium service, is a satellite, satellite to home service. GOTV is a digital terrestrial. So for you to beam GOTV, you need to build sites similar to the ones that Safaricom and Airtel build. So that is the difference.
Listen to the opening remark of the chair. He said he built a Toyota. Am I right?
Yes,
He
Chair.
built a Toyota using a bottom-up approach before even the current president knew bottom-up will come. So meaning he would get to the same destination using linear, an economical vehicle called Toyota. And he forgot, sorry to say, Luos are my neighbors, are my brother-in-laws. They would want to drive a Mercedes. The best car in the country can be driven by a Luo, none other than that.
They're also my neighbors, Chair, through
Yes, and they are brother-in-laws. So allow me to say, you left the Mercedes and said you are driving a Vitz or a Toyota. So in other words, we are competing for the same space. The product you don't want to get it to DSTV, which is lavish for Lavington people, it went to other people. It's the same space. Am I right?
Okay. Let me explain again, Mr. Chair. So if you look at the bouquets for DSTV, you'd begin with premium and then come to the list. If you look at GOTV, you'll begin with Super Plus. So Super Plus is a 3,500 product, which is the same as compact on the DSTV side. But GOTV goes to as low as 200 shillings for light. So basically, that is the proposition. So Mama Mbogas would basically pay 200.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
Yeah.
That is perfect. To distribute life equally. That's okay. But the issue we are looking at is in this the same product, only at different quality? You are only giving it at a super quality for DSTV, if I may mention the product, and GoTV, definitely you are doing that terrestrial. Isn't it the same product?
So Chair, through you, and I hear you, and luckily we share the same neighborhood, so a bit of there, is to say what was building up in terms of television globally through you, Honorable Chair, is that in fact the world was moving from analog to digital, and essentially meaning your traditional analog TV was going to cease to exist. So GoTV was actually targeted at all these other people who may not necessarily have aspired to ever even touch any pay TV or in fact digital TV. But now, because by law and by the global shift, there was a deadline, and that was subject of many litigations of moving. Then the business saw the opportunity to say, why can't we have a digital terrestrial product which is actually cheaper, like you said, Vitz or Toyota, that these people that will have to come through the net now because of the switch off will then have it as an option. And that's really the case currently, Chair. So you have people that actually do free-to-air, literally like Matatu or almost walking on foot. You then have the people that come to the next level, which is GoTV. And then you have your people from the lake now having Mercedes. If you use that analogy.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yes.
I want you, now that the two of you work for MultiChoice Africa, you worked and is now there. Who is this other organization called DMTV?
So DMTV was the initial organization. If you look at the earlier agreement, it was the organization that initially was supposed to do GoTV, but at that was analog level then. So with the transition then, DMTV then became GoTV. So in a way, it was basically a change of name from DMTV to GoTV as we know it today.
Chair, if you allow me, because I was actually physically there and I actually took up the piper. So I just want to compliment because it came new. So DMTV was another technology we tried, very similar almost to GoTV, and we set up that company. It's called digital mobile television. Set up, and we were trying to use handheld devices. I think some of the older channels will even see we tested that signal, but it was also using frequencies. It was also using sites to broadcast, but handheld. We tested it for a while. At the same time, the analog space was changing and GoTV was now launching. So it made sense for the same group that was actually rolling out DMTV to now consolidate DMTV and GoTV, because both had transmission sites, both were using frequencies. And in fact, and you'll see DMTV was a technology tested in Italy, tested in a few places, and it never quite worked. Because people realized later your mobile television is actually going to come through the mobile phone, not a unique mobile held device. Yeah.
Chair,
Yes, Vice Chair.
if you ask me matters foreign relations, I can take you all the way to the Peace of Westphalia in 1948. I can explain that. And where in your domain, you can take us even history, you take us around, because that's your domain. That's where you sit on a daily basis. But Chair, I don't think that is the reason why we are here. Because if we meander around all these things, Chair, we'll miss the point. Earlier on, when we were interrogating the MultiChoice Kenya, I did ask them a question. If MultiChoice Africa have any other venture with KBC, they said no.
Okay? And I think either, I don't know whether it's the distillery or the manager, one of them said no, they have absolutely no any other venture. Okay? And we had Communication Authority of Kenya yesterday. And this is what they said. I want to read it verbatim.
Yeah.
Honorable Chair and distinguished members of the committee, KBC and MultiChoice Africa Limited entered into a joint venture establishing MultiChoice Kenya in 1995. MultiChoice Kenya Limited was established to provide subscriber management service for DSTV subscribers in Kenya on behalf of MultiChoice Africa Limited. MultiChoice Kenya also provided analog terrestrial subscription broadcasting services until its suspension. The word is suspension in 2003. Now, the joint venture later, 4 years later, in 2007, established Digital Mobile Television Kenya Limited. The joint venture we are talking about is MultiChoice Africa and MultiChoice and the KBC that formed MultiChoice Kenya. The same venture established Digital Mobile Television Kenya, which on record you are saying later transformed into GOTV. So do you want to contradict the Communication Authority of Kenya on oath and on record before we move on?
Somehow you are going back and forth. Who established DMTV?
It was actually established by MultiChoice Africa as a new technology to try to tap mobile television viewing. At that stage, 100% held by MultiChoice Africa, and they started introducing mobile devices. They got a special license from the regulator to introduce that service in Kenya, and they ran it for maybe about 2 years, and it actually was not viable.
But MultiChoice Africa got it, the license as a product of the JV.
No, let my colleague Claire, also was in regulator, just address that.
No, she has spoken it over it.
Yeah. So
Yes.
so no, it was not part of the joint venture, Honorable Chair. It was actually an independent initiative funded 100% by MultiChoice Africa, which then they were testing that technology. And I remember also testing in a place like South Africa and 1 or 2 other markets, which eventually then also just did not work.
But you know very well, MultiChoice Africa had entered into a JV with the KBC.
Correct.
And they had restrictions on how to enter into the market with a similar product. Are you aware of that?
Correct.
Could they have come in without being part of this JV to do a similar product?
So the mobile handheld device broadcasting is a completely different technology, Chair. So
the technology could be different.
Yes.
But the output is the same.
So the way it works is that
Yes.
you really get services classified by platform and by manner of reception. So the handheld had nothing to do with, for example, the DTH service, the DSTV service, which in fact they were playing in. It's a totally different technology, and that's how it was through your Honorable Chair discontinued.
But you see, Mheshimiwa Ndeto, you had an issue to raise.
Actually, Chair had several issues, but do you want me to go? Yeah, because for me, initially I had said I wanted to understand the fundamentals of this contract, because this is an audit committee and we are trying to look for the money trail.
Yeah.
So I wanted to first of all understand, is there a contract between GOTV and MultiChoice Kenya for the management services they offer?
Through you, Chair, yes, there is.
Okay, so how much does GOTV pay MultiChoice Kenya? And it will be of interest to us because MultiChoice Kenya is owned by public, 40%.
So currently, GOTV pays 12.5% of its subscription revenues to MultiChoice Kenya.
Okay, very good. Is GOTV Kenya a pay TV operator, or is it a subscription company?
It is both. So it offers pay TV services and also owns the subscribers. But in terms of subscription management, that's done by MultiChoice Kenya.
So It's more of a content.
It's a broadcaster.
It's a
It has
broadcaster. It's a
broadcasting
content
license.
broadcaster. The subscription is made. The management of the subscribers is done by someone else.
Yes.
Okay, good. In the CR12 that you showed us, is there any director appointed by KBC in that list?
For GOTV?
Yeah.
No.
Okay, thank you. Between 2012 and 2018, when you're doing your negotiations, why was it necessary for you to want to bring KBC? What would we say was a motivation? Why are you desperate to bring KBC on board? Because you took 6 years of quoting.
Thank you, Mheshimiwa. That's a very good question. I'll take the committee to the deck that talks to the shareholder document, the shareholder agreement. The proposal, yeah, shareholder proposal. There's a page there that beautifully, and to the chairman's point about the beautiful girl, describes Malchus' actually wish and desire to take KBC as a preferred partner in Kenya. I wonder if you can open for me that page in the business proposal. It's not attached. Okay. So
you can summarize it.
Yeah.
And I'm just looking for the big why.
So because of the historical relationship between Malchus Africa and KBC, the first and default sort of partner of choice is actually KBC. They always will prefer to keep the same partnership, and KBC was always the default in this. And as we had always known historically, Chair, this relationship between Malchus Africa and KBC had actually been mutual and also mutually beneficial. I remember during the times when there were all sorts of dividends being paid in millions between, coming from Malchus Kenya to KBC. So both partners happy in a successful and very effective partnership. So that was the reason, Honorable.
Through the chair, if I may. Okay. Sorry, if I may add, there's also local shareholder requirements, and we needed a local shareholder, and the preferable one is KBC.
Actually, I was about to, you've corrected your colleague, because I would actually say the biggest motivation was to meet the requirement for local shareholder. Okay, that was the biggest motivation. Okay, good. So granted, KBC rejects the offer. So this local shareholder is eventually in 2018 given to Stephen Isaboke, correct?
That's correct.
That's correct. I would like Stephen Isaboke, who I believe is before us, to tell us two things. One, whether there are any beneficial owners behind his shareholding. And two, what consideration you paid for your 30% shareholding.
Yeah, through the chair, I'm meant to answer two questions. Number one, if there are beneficial owners behind me in terms of the shareholding. Number two, what consideration that I gave for the shareholding. So just before I answer that, just to build up, there's so many correspondences you'll see where there was duress from the regulator in terms of notices of violation. I was actually that time sitting in Dubai. I was not even in Kenya. I'm just living.
Chair, through the chair, I'm not inviting Steve to. We're not accusing you.
Yeah, okay.
I've asked two very simple questions.
Yeah.
Are there any beneficial owners? And as a legal person who I believe you are, you understand what I mean? Yeah. And what is the consideration you paid?
I will answer those straight. I was just building the background.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe background can be for another day.
Thank you, Chair. There is no beneficial owner behind this shareholding. I was given these shares as Stephen Isaboke, a point of view the Kenyan, who had worked for the group for about 13 years. And at that stage, the group decided if they could not get anybody, I will have to take this to get them relieved on this requirement. So there is no beneficial owner of these shares. I took the Bible. I'm a practicing Christian. I know what that means. And if I did that, my God in heaven sees me, and I really am not ready for any cost to do that.
Steve, you don't have to go to that. We get the answer.
Thank you.
Okay.
Number two, in terms of consideration, Chair, I don't know that you guys attach the business plan. If you look at the business plan, which the Malchus Group shared with KBC, there were two components. there was a financing of the business, of this GOTV business, because remember, Malchus has set up the entire infrastructure, rolled out the transmitters and everything.
Chair, with your permission,
Yes.
allow me to stop Steve
Okay.
Yes,
and
Mheshimiwa.
rephrase my question.
Yes.
How much, what consideration did you pay for the shareholding?
So there were two components into this, and I say this directly. The components were one, in terms of a shareholder cash funding for the business, which in fact was all coming from shareholder loans, which KBC had also been given, which they were reluctant to actually take on. So there was shareholder loans.
I want to call you, Steve, to order.
Yes,
You appear to be a man of God.
I am a man of God.
Yes.
Yes.
Just answer the question. Consideration can never be explained.
Okay.
It's a figure.
Okay. So,
Yes.
so if you look at the structure, and I invite you to look at the audited books of GOTV, in terms of nominal
Which we
share
don't
value-
have.
Yeah, I think you'll get it's you will get, because by virtue of your parliamentary sort of oversight. So the two components, there is the nominal value of the shares that GOTV, when it was established, had, which I think, to my memory, was about 17 million nominal value of shares. You know what nominal is? It's not the true value. And then the true establishment costs that were actually separate. So in terms of nominal value, then when you take that, at the point of take on, I was asked to pay for the nominal shares, and then sign for shareholder loans, which KBC was reluctant to do. So nominal shares, I paid about, of the 17 million, I paid my share, 30% or about 5 million to Malchus Africa at the point of executing the contract. That's nominal shares value, really the nominal thing that the lawyers set up the company. In terms of the overall value of the company, you will see that the working capital was anything up to about 14 billion. So those funds no one can fund. They had to come through shareholder funds, which has been funded obviously through the Malchus group. In that one, I had to execute shareholder loan agreements, essentially meaning the company is actually loaning me on book until those shareholder loans are cleared. There's no dividend, which in fact is the case. So that's the structure, Chair, in terms of what I paid.
Chair, I think we hear Steve, and Chair, maybe I forgot to also do another disclosure here that I happen to know Vincent Opio very well. And just like I declared with Claire. By the way, I didn't say that Claire was my boss, and a very kind boss at that, yeah? He's one of the best bosses I've had. Vincent was my colleague also of many years, but that does not in any way impede my ability to execute my mandate. So I'm just trying to then check why is Steve Isaboke, why are you unable to pay for the shareholder loans? Why did they settle on you?
So maybe that's not for Steve to answer, it's me to answer. on
You
behalf of-
speak through the chair.
Through the chair.
Hold your horse
Because
first.
he's saying there's 14 billion.
Hold your horse.
He's saying that
Yes.
there's 30% of 14 billion hanging around his neck. So why you?
Yeah.
You clearly,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
there's looks like that looks curious.
Okay.
If nothing else.
So, Chair, I still speak from memory, reasons, and everything. I'll refer you to correspondences, and I know you do not want explanation, where we were given a final warning without exception of extension. I was sitting in Dubai, the group chairman of Malchus Group was sitting in Dubai that time, and the group CEO, they said, guys, we must get a way out of this thing. I remember the group then said, Stephen, this got to be you. In fact, the group chairman, this got to be you. Let's work on a thing where you actually take on this. You are Kenyan. Let's work on a thing where we negotiate to take this. Because, yeah.
So, Chair, in conclusion, because as Steve has explained it well, I think it's correct then to say that GOTV Kenya, for all intents and purposes, is still 100% owned by MultiChoice Africa. And that Steve and his, allow me to put it in quotes, 30% shareholding, is actually just a window dressing. And I think he has admitted that this is a window dressing.
Chair, let me just clarify. I actually want to clarify, and we can veil records, that at the point when we now decided the shareholding must change, we then commissioned both Maldives Africa legal team, and I actually appointed my own lawyer in Kenya. We went through negotiations for shareholding, and there is paperwork to support that. At the point of execution of the shareholding agreement, I then was made to sign for the nominal share value, as I'm saying, nominal shares in the book of the 5 million, and then had to sign, as I'm saying, the shareholder loans. Just to clarify, the shareholder loans were an offer also made to KBC. They simply were not willing to take on any more loans in their books, or they will actually sort of have needed the government sanction, and they were reluctant to take any more loans. That was a very open offer for anybody who would have been a partner for GOTV in Kenya. It was never tailored for me.
Through the chair,
Okay.
can I just add to Choice Africa perspective? It just happened to be that Steve worked for the group, but even in our other African countries where we have local shareholders, we do offer shareholder loans to our local shareholder, which means that they forego any dividend, and if they want to fast track it, they will contribute cash to whatever the loans.
But you
To
see,
offset the loans.
before I even invite my colleague, Steve has just acknowledged here that the 5% he paid was even way below.
No, 5 million was
The
actually
5 million.
30% of the nominal value of the shares. 5 million.
30% of
17 million.
the nominal value.
Yes.
Yes. So there's a nominal value and there's the operational value, the value of the company.
Yes.
So he did pay for the nominal
And
value,
what
which
was
is buying the shares.
What was the offer to KBC?
Same
Same.
thing.
Same.
Yeah, where I have a problem with this,
Yes.
and Claire, I think, or council here, this may be something we need to check legality, and especially this is something that needs to come to the attention of the competition authority, because it's a serious matter. This is pretty serious, because it is actually circumventing the law by purporting to sell some shareholding, and then it's almost like selling to self, because you sold, the person can't pay, so you give them loans to buy. I don't know. I don't know whether this would pass the competition authority from but I stand to be guided. But that I think that is not the subject of the investigation here. Maybe that's for another committee to take
Vice
up.
Chair.
Chair, just as a follow-up to Honorable Andeto's intervention, which I agree. I was actually trying to consult with my chair to be on the same page. Where you used to work before? You used to work for MultiChoice Africa before being GOTV.
I actually never worked for GOTV at all, but GOTV was one of the businesses under the structure that I oversaw.
Right now, where do you work now?
I am the chairman of GOTV Kenya.
You
But
don't.
I
So
don't work
you
daily.
don't work for GOTV.
No, I'm just a
So
chairman.
before becoming a chair, you worked where?
I was actually working for Maldives Africa, based in Dubai.
Yeah.
Yes.
So and that's why my colleagues looks like it's an insider job, kind of, that one of an employee can go there. You know, when you want to form a chain, you place people. This one can go there. This one can go there. This one can go there. So it looks like a web. So it looks like, we're not saying it is.
Okay.
Yeah, don't be in a hurry to, yeah. If it will be a web, I'll tell you it's a web. But I said it looks like. And my question is, do GOTV, you as the shareholder 30% and 70% MultiChoice Holdings, how do you benefit from GOTV in terms of dividends is there any benefit you get as two main shareholders of GOTV?
So thank you, Chair. So at the moment, given the current sort of performance of the business, there's actually no dividend. That business does not make money.
When did you become the shareholder?
From 2019.
So 2019 up to now, nothing has come to you in terms of dividends.
Yes, there's no
And
dividend.
nothing has gone to MultiChoice in terms of dividends. So, Chair,
Yes.
if we could have, I don't know if it is within our purview to get that record,
Yeah.
that there is absolutely no dividends from GOTV to their shareholders for the last 6 years.
That's correct.
Yeah, this is
That's correct.
quite important, Chair.
That's correct.
And Chair, also maybe
That's correct.
related to that, Steve, does the shareholder loan you got from MultiChoice Africa attract any interest?
Yes.
It does attract
Yes.
interest. Okay.
Yes. Yes.
My issue goes to Ruth. Sometimes back when in the last session, you confirmed that MultiChoice Kenya has 2 revenue streams. Which ones were they?
So it has commission revenues.
Yes.
And the commission-
from what?
So commission revenues is from MultiChoice Africa and from GOTV.
From both.
Yes.
So that the dividend you declare includes the 2 commissions.
Yes, it does.
I want to go back to Isaboke and say, ask him, when he says he paid for the nominal fee of 5 million, what were the loans? 5 million. What were the loans? The loans that were hanging onto GOTV. Was it coming to 14 billion? You talked of that?
Through you, Chair, thank you. That's a factual question. So I think we'll just look at the balance sheet that was offered at that time to the business. If I remember, using my memory, the nominal value of the shares in the balance sheet, in terms of the nominal share of the company, was 17 million. So I paid for my 30% 5 million, actually 5.2. That was that side of the shareholding acquisition. Then, in terms of funding and the operational sort of cash, I think that time the business, in terms of the books, was anything about 14.5 billion in terms of what MultiChoice Africa had put in the business, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of the decoder subsidies for digital migration, in terms of the operating costs, including the losses that the company had incurred. So to then get another shareholder, they then had to take the burden of that funding, which then came through the shareholder loan. I once again reiterate that shareholder loan was a subject of long discussion with KBC.
Just leave it there.
Yeah.
Therefore, did you add any value to that amount?
In terms of the
In
shareholder
terms of the
loan?
loan, yes.
No. It's a loan is a loan, Chair.
No, but you see, what was the purpose of inviting a new shareholder?
So it was actually compliance, like the Honorable Chair says.
So they falsified the compliance. That's the truth. Just own up and say yes.
So
No,
Chair,
if I may,
no.
through the chair,
No,
because
wait.
Yeah.
I'm not interrogating the lawyer.
Yeah.
I wanted him.
Chair, you
Is
need
that
to
the
protect me.
position?
That's not correct.
Yes.
So in fact, if you indulge me to give you a rundown
Yes.
of the amount of time and persuasion that was given to KBC to take up this until we were given almost like your last appeal. So something had to happen, and that happened with
It's
the local
okay.
shareholder.
The offer was in 2 folds. You are to take the shareholding
Yeah.
and also meet the financial obligation,
Yes.
right? The 30% was purely financial obligation. The association of the 5% you took was a fraction of the 40%. The entire offer was 40%. 30 had a very big cloud and said it must come with a financial obligation. It was not just a walk in the park. Make a comment.
So, Chair, just to clarify, when you are acquiring a company, you've got nominal value of the company, which is what I paid 5 million of the 17 million nominal value, and then there is the working capital for the company. The second question, Chair, through you that you're asking is actually how the business funded its operations.
No,
Through working
I've
capital.
not asked how the business funded. What was the offer?
So
What was? Let's agree first.
yes,
Am I right to say the offer was 40%?
of shares.
Yes.
For me, it was 30%.
No. The offer Malchus Africa was offering to KBC, the proposal. Am I right to say it was 40%?
So to KBC, that's correct.
Yes, to KBC, that's correct.
Yes.
And then 10%, we know what it was to be. We'll come to it later.
Yeah.
And the 30% was to carry the financial obligation.
Correct.
So did you get two offers? That you had a different offer from KBC offer?
So, Chair, as you rightly say yourself, the circumstances under the KBC offer were clear because the two partners were actually in discussions and negotiations to have the sites which we have spoken to and all those things. So at the stage at which now the company was duress to actually find a local partner, that was overtaken because it had been licensed and given their own frequencies. What they needed was actually to comply with the local ownership sort of requirement of minimum 20%. At that stage, they had now been licensed, they had their frequencies, they had their network, as we have shown on the details.
Let's go back, forget about the 10%. The offer had a financial obligation. That's the gist.
Yeah.
It was not a walk in the park.
Yeah.
You only paid for the nominal value. The financial obligation you did not pay. Am I right?
You're right.
Correct. So let's now.
But just to clarify, Chair, through you again, I seek your indulgence.
Yes.
That same offer is the offer that KBC was given. You call KBC board, people like Engineer Musebe were there, which KBC declined many times.
I have the offer with me.
Yes.
And that's why I'm referring to the offer.
Correct.
Yes.
You will see it replicates, Chair.
Wait. Take me slowly.
Sorry, Chair.
And calm down. You are not under investigation. Allow me to make it very clear.
Yes.
We are reviewing the accounts,
Yes.
and our main concern is in 2012. Issues of 2019, yes, they are coming by, but the whole gist is in 2012. So we are not investigating you.
Thank you, Chair.
We are simply reviewing what happened.
Yeah.
What the auditors, these are your friends, these are the ones who raise the issues.
Correct.
So the right people to if you say anything, these are the ones who raise the issues.
I'm guided, Chair.
And we have the obligation to look into funds invested by the public, by the government. The offer was very clear. From the proposal, Malchus Africa offered 40% of the shares to GOTV Kenya to KBC, and KBC accepted. That's the general percentage, 40%. Now, you took the 30%. I'm asking, where did you take the financial obligation?
You can clarify financial obligation as regards
Because
to...
there was the offer was in two folds.
Yes.
The offer was to take that KBC was to pay. The 30%
Yes.
was to come in liquidity form.
Yes.
And 10% was infrastructure.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So now you've taken over the 30% that
Yes.
belonged to KBC. So I'm asking, this person who offered you 30%, how did he discharge the financial obligation?
So, Clay, you want to answer? Just to clarify, Chair, the same offer was given to KBC to
Correct.
actually pick up 30% through funding by the shareholder funding.
Correct.
Yes.
That's what I'm saying.
So, yes. So that's the
So
same.
how did you fund?
That's the same way that it was funded. It was actually via shareholder funding.
So
if I
you,
may, through the chair, I think there's a could I?
yes.
So there's a misunderstanding. So when you offer somebody shareholding, it doesn't mean that they can go to a bank for a loan and pay for those shares, or the other shareholder can offer to put the money that the company needs, GOTV Kenya needs, on your behalf. So what happened here is, what happened here is MultiChoice Africa put the money on behalf of Steve into the company, and Steve is then supposed to pay that money back with interest to MultiChoice Africa.
You see, once you have the 30%,
Yes.
and the financial burden was about 14 billion or 15 billion or X amount, when you get the nominal shareholding, nominal was just to admit you in the register.
Yes.
For admission into the CR12, that you're a shareholder. But as a shareholder, you need to invest into the company.
Which he did.
How much did he pay?
So he's the 30% of the 14. It's of the 17 of the 14 billion.
Yes.
Yeah. So what then happens is, even though the money didn't come from his pocket, it was a loan. He got a loan to pay that money into the company, and the loan came from MultiChoice Africa.
Correct. So you borrowed the money from MultiChoice Africa. I want to hear it from you, because she's representing you. Now that you are here,
Yes.
Can you confirm the same?
I confirm the same, Chairman.
How much was the amount?
So it is 30% of around about 14.5, which was actually the total funding.
The total funding.
Yeah.
So in other words, MultiChoice Africa owns about 90% of GOTV.
No, Chair. Steve owns 30, and MultiChoice Africa owns 70.
But if has he paid the loan?
So when you get a loan, it's the shareholding has to be separated from the loan. If he doesn't pay the loan, then MultiChoice Africa can decide what it does with the shares. But at the moment,
I want to hear from Steve. I feel a legal counsel obstructing
No,
my
I'm-
interrogation. Yeah.
no, I'm just speaking
No,
on behalf of MultiChoice Africa.
No. I don't want. I'll be forced to cag you. Yes, because you are obstructing what I want to hear from the witness. How much did you borrow, Steve, from MultiChoice Africa?
So 30% of about 14.5, if I remember that number.
Yes.
And that
Any
is,
documents to table? I want you to table
So-
evidence of borrowing.
There is shareholder loans that we executed, Chair.
Yes, I want to get the details of the shareholding loans.
That will be availed with the committee.
When? I want to get a confirmation.
So today is Thursday. Can we get maybe Monday? Just a day for me to consolidate the documentation and come back.
Yes, let's allow you even have a good Christmas.
Yes.
We won't mind any time after Christmas, but
Okay.
not less than the end of the year.
Okay.
Give us the details of the loan.
Yeah.
How much did you apply?
Okay.
Let us have the instruments of the loan so that we can be able to interrogate and see what is this that you offered to MultiChoice Africa. Yes, Vice Chair.
Yeah, I go back, Chair, the beginning, when we ask your legal team, in fact, they more or less didn't want to answer anything about GOTV. I'm surprised that they're most active now. And yet you are not able. You actually said you don't want. We actually call the owners of GOTV are out there. But now you are the most active in this. I'm shocked.
No, if I may, through the
Yeah.
chair,
Yeah.
there were questions which were not touching on the legal and
Yeah,
regulatory
so
side.
I just want to, that's why I called it a web. The reason why I called it a web, the director whom you accompanied today, I understand is the director general or managing director of MultiChoice Kenya, right?
That's
Whether
correct.
acting or substantive, but is director general of MultiChoice Kenya.
That's correct.
MultiChoice Kenya, which is 60% MultiChoice Africa and a 40% KBC, right?
That's correct.
So why is he also listed as a director of GOTV?
Claire, you want to answer that? So my understanding is that the two partners have then introduced reps on the board, and you'll see on that CR12 for GOTV, the only non-MultiChoice person is actually myself by virtue of my 30% shareholding. The rest are actually
So
MultiChoice Africa
why
reps.
is the director of MultiChoice Kenya listed as a director of GOTV when earlier on we were told MultiChoice Kenya has nothing to do with GOTV, and it is on record?
So,
Through-
sorry,
Yeah.
through the chair. So we mentioned that MultiChoice Kenya actually is SMS subscriber management service provider for GOTV. So because of that involvement, it's just inherent that we have the general manager sit in the GOTV board, because during our board sessions, there are questions that we would want to ask.
Thank you.
Yeah, which he
Whatever he
answers,
does there, do you now agree with me that general manager, by the virtue of being the general manager of MultiChoice Kenya, has a bit of KBC with him, 40%? By virtue of being the managing director of MultiChoice Kenya, does he have a bit of KBC with him? Does he carry KBC with him wherever he goes? Yes or no?
As the MD for KBC, as the MD for MultiChoice Kenya, of course, he represents both 40 and 60.
So does a KBC now supposed to have a stake in GoTV? Then if it doesn't have a stake in GoTV through the managing director of MultiChoice Kenya, then don't you then allow KBC to have their own stake in GoTV alone? Because they are not being represented by their own chair or their own managing director.
So through the chair again.
Because are you telling us the managing director sitting on KBC and the MultiChoice, whenever he goes to GoTV, he's only going as MultiChoice? And he leaves KBC behind.
Through the chair again, I think in the corporate world there are many instances of that nature. Rita Kavashi sits as a board member in BAT, but it doesn't mean that General Motors has a representative at BAT. So
he sits there in his own capacity, not as
Vice Chairman, that's a very wrong example. We are dealing with the public money.
Yeah,
we are simply looking for the 40%. Vice Chair is insisting on the 40%. When do you cut off the 40% from your MD?
So through the chair again, under what instrument would KBC come in as an owner in GoTV after what we've explained?
There is no ownership. There is no ownership.
Yeah.
KBC have been cheated. Are you getting? That's why there is no ownership. It has been cheated. And this is how it has been cheated. That's why we are trying to find in what way has KBC been cheated. When you say you are the managing director of an organization that has two shareholders, then one shareholder has another business, and you sit in that business. So who are you representing that business? Are you representing you as an individual, or are you representing also KBC there? Now, if it's an individual, then should we also know you are director of MultiChoice Holdings or MultiChoice Kenya, only sit there as in his own individual capacity, but not, then KBC should know your MD, where you own 40%, sit in another, where there is a potential conflict of interest to your business.
Yeah, I think we've mentioned through the chair again. So all these things that MultiChoice Kenya does for GoTV, the finance director has rightly said that there is a fee at the 12.5 that is paid, from GoTV to MultiChoice Kenya, which ultimately is
I
paid
don't want
as
you
dividend.
to. I don't want you to lie to the committee. Remember, you're talking to people who have also gone to school. The 12-point-something% has a relationship, a service they offer, as a whole MD. But when it comes to the board of GoTV, he is not coming as the MD of MultiChoice Kenya, unless you confirm now that he comes as the MD of MultiChoice Kenya. You have to choose between two. Can you do the same? Confirm between the two.
Sorry, Mr. Chairman, I think I didn't get you clearly. Confirm between.
Confirm that when the MD for MultiChoice Kenya comes to GoTV, to the board of GoTV, he comes as the representative of MultiChoice Kenya on that board. Is that the position?
I'm really struggling how to separate, the one person.
Please,
yeah, that's
proceed and respond. Is that the position? Yes or no? Because there are only two answers, yes or no.
I think if he was not the MD of MultiChoice Kenya, then he wouldn't really come to that board. So, yeah.
So therefore, you agree that there is a problem. So if he comes on that board, he should be listed as the MD for MultiChoice Kenya.
Through the chair, maybe I can just...
I don't want you to make me lose the track, because he has come as the director of MultiChoice Kenya, of GOTV. He is not here as the director of regional whatever. And he has confirmed that the MD for MultiChoice Kenya, when he comes, he should be coming on the board as the representative of MultiChoice Kenya. That is his position. Do you have a contrary view?
So, Chair, I just to speak not specifically to the question you've asked, just the principle about board representation.
No, but you see, you are moving me out of, you want me to understand what you want.
Okay.
I also want, we are the ones, we are the middle persons.
Yes.
These issues you are explaining, you should have explained to auditors. When they raise issues with KBC, KBC would have invited you. And because you are unable to explain to them, you came to me. So allow me to get the justification of what I want. So as he has put it very clear and in affirmative, and the matter is closed. Yes.
So Mr. Chairman,
I've closed your issue. I want to hear from him.
Okay.
Yes.
So what I'll say through you, Chair, just a principle is that MultiChoice will use a pool of their employees as directors in different entities, and in those respects, they will wear different hats. It is very typical. I sat in boards across, not just in Kenya, but in other businesses across other countries, where I will sit in different capacities. So the same player will be a utility player, Mr. Chairman, because an employee of MultiChoice being nominated to sit and look after interests of that group.
You are right for MultiChoice Africa. You are right for MultiChoice Africa. That's okay. But he's the MD for MultiChoice Kenya. And he's sitting in GOTV. That's the position. So tell me, we only concerned with MultiChoice Kenya.
Yeah.
Yes.
So very difficult to split the same person.
Correct.
But it depends on...
I want to hear from, you've answered, it's okay. I want to hear from the legal counsel. Do you have anything to comment?
So I was going to say, is when we do have shared services, and it's not for free. MultiChoice Kenya is actually paid for, is compensated. There's a recharge for some of the services that it offers, including employees.
You've not answered my question. My question was very clear. The MD for MultiChoice Kenya sits in the board of MultiChoice of GOTV.
Yes, he's also the managing director for GOTV.
He's also the managing director for GOTV. At that time, when he's sitting as the MD for GOTV on the board of GOTV, whom does he represent?
GOTV.
How?
Because he's the MD of GOTV. When he sits in the board of GOTV, he's an executive director of GOTV and representing GOTV.
But he earns salary from the public investment.
Which when he's doing the service, he's giving services to GOTV, there's a recharge and compensation given to MCK.
Let's be fair, madam. You know you are a legal mind. For you to second a public servant to sit on a board, there is a procedure.
He's not a public servant, sir.
Yes, but he's enjoying the benefit of the 40% of the public resource. So where do you leave him? At what level does he come out as a public servant, serving having interest, or a custodian of a public resource? At what stage does he exit?
He does both, sir.
So he does both. So at that time, he's still serving the interest of MultiChoice Kenya.
Yes.
That's okay.
And by virtue of our setup, because GoTV is an encrypted service, encryption means you only get the signal once you meet certain conditions, including getting a decoder and paying a fee. So we needed to have our own setup to actually run that. We could not run on an open an open sort of a broadcast service distributor system. So we approached the regulator, and there's correspondences that speak to that. And the regulator agreed because of the existing structure at that time, only Signet was actually allowed to distribute signal, but they said because GOTV cannot run on Signet, we will assign you frequencies under the gaze of your ongoing negotiations, and then you now run your service through those frequencies. So once, and that happened between about 2012 to about 2017, after the Supreme Court rulings, when the Supreme Court agreed with the free-to-air services to actually liberalize the broadcast service distributors or broadcast signal distributors, we then got alliances, GOTV got alliances alongside other broadcast signal distributors. And like I named them, PANG, ADN, which is actually the free-to-air owned network, and Pampa. So once we then got that license, part of the license terms and conditions was actually for GOTV to get its own frequencies. So in fact, the framework through which I changed, the regulator, once they switched off the analog frequencies, repossessed all the frequencies, and then subsequently started refarming the frequencies with the authorized or licensed broadcast service, signal distributors. So Signet was given their own, we believe. Eventually, the regulator communicated to us to say, we now want to farm these frequencies that in fact you applied for, but which we could only direct to you via your Signet arrangement directly to you because you are a licensed entity. We then, of course, agreed. They then wrote to KBC for a concurrence or no objection, because in fact, even if they never wrote to KBC as a licensed entity, we were entitled to actually get frequencies. It's only that they decided for historical reasons to sort of say, because you've already been in this, let KBC give no objection, so we farm what you already have. So that was the arrangement that happened. And just also for the record, because the regulator was actually assigning GOTV the frequencies, GOTV also paid the spectrum fee. So the fee that the frequencies required in terms of licensing, we paid. And you'll see one of the documents we actually sort of given the pack is a frequency fee or a spectrum fee of nearly 21.6 million to the CA as part of our compliance for that assignment of frequencies.
Thank you very much. I like in the earlier session, the legal counsel used affirmed a statement that you can enter into a contract with anticipation. You said something that is legal. Similarly, the document before me indicated that the 10% you got was in anticipation of a marriage. It was not just your right, the way you are putting it. Will I be wrong to say so?
Chair, through you again, in terms of anticipation, yes, but like we said, the pride refused. You cannot force a marriage. You cannot force a home. Sir, Chair, it will be illegal. So the pride, and we'll also show a document where KBC affirmatively wrote back and said, no, we're not taking up these shares, we will not take these shares. That's actually when this whole thing stopped. But we're chasing the pride throughout, Chair.
But the pride realized that you've already gone away with the sister. So how do you expect it to happen? Because by the time the 2017 negotiations you're engaging, let's now call to the spec. By the time you're negotiating the 2017, you had already gotten possession of the frequencies.
So
by the time you're coming to pay, what you're saying is 21 million. It's not actually 21. The figure I have is about 17 point something. You had already gotten the frequencies on your side.
Chair, very right
yes.
sort of put. I think you are correct, but to the extent that yes, frequencies were assigned, but the pride was still being pursued for partnership.
My problem is just very clear.
Yes.
It is true that the frequencies have already been transferred to you. Am I right?
You're right.
Under what circumstances?
Like I've said, once the licensing framework changed and the Supreme Court had ruled to allow for more than one broadcast signal distributor, which was beyond Signet, which is what the free-to-air has fought for a long time, Other Peters went in, and GOTV was one of them. We met the licensing conditions. We paid the license fee. We then got a license. Sir Chair, part of the terms of the licensing, even today, if you get a license to do, for example, a radio station, you then will have to get a frequency. The two are in tandem. You can't get a license without enablement. So the frequency ties with the license. So once we are licensed as a service directly by the regulator, it essentially means we had to be allocated frequencies. In fact, the other operators that were never associated with KBC already have frequencies.
You are talking what we already have. We already have the papers.
Yeah.
Please, you are going very well. Just resolve the issue, we wind up the sitting.
Yeah.
By the time you are getting these frequencies, by the time you are paying for that license, you already had the frequencies. You already had them.
Yes.
If it is as clean as you are saying, why did the CA write to KBC to concur?
So it is because
If
of
it was that's straight, why did are you aware KBC wrote to KBC, CA wrote to KBC to concur?
Yes.
And are you aware that KBC is the one that initiated the transfer of the frequencies?
So, Chair, I think my recollection is that the CA wrote a letter to KBC when, in fact, the action of granting the frequencies to, or refarming the frequencies to GOTV. I'm not aware of any KBC initiating anything.
Mr. Waihenya was in that place where you are, and I'm happy he's the one who signed the document, which you have also tabled here. And he confirmed that it's him who initiated the frequencies. And he confirmed he initiated it upon your request. And he also confirmed that he initiated it in anticipation of the marriage. Anything contrary to that?
I think it's correct, but we want us to look at the sequence of all those events. So you've been allocated frequencies to operate the pay TV. The environment has changed. Now you've been licensed. The regulator, even if we rejected anything to do with KBC and actually went to regulator, we will have been assigned frequencies because frequencies were all repossessed by the regulator. Then regulator says, because you people have been in tandem, we now telling your potential partner you've gotten your own license, we're going to refarm the frequencies to you. That is the context of that, Mr. Chair, as transparent as that can be.
In addition to his confirmation, he said he confirmed in anticipation of the partnership, which I want you to hear, to tell me. Is there a partnership now that you got the frequencies, you got what you wanted from KBC? What happened to the 10% that he surrendered the frequencies for?
Mr. Chair, when I sort of refer back, it's very clear that KBC actually eventually wrote back and rejected a partnership.
I want you to table that rejection.
Yes.
Any letter to support that rejection?
There's a letter. There's a letter.
The one I can see is an addendum.
No.
Yes, it's one of the in the addenda.
Yes.
A letter from KBC.
But it was. Can you open maybe before then? I can see the auditor wants to put a question.